Hello and welcome to INXS Access All Areas, episode 191, the podcast that delivers every week on diving deep on all things great about this rock band INXS, doing with a bunch of patrons and listeners around the world, and even people who are passive interests and followers, but most importantly doing with B. How are you? Busy week this week?
Yes, we have had a busy week. It's been a bit fraught, but we've got there in the end. I think I had to get a big steamy iron out on a few things, but it's worked out.
We've just come off a couple of interesting episodes, but most notably we've come off our Switch episode last week, which was part one of, side one of the album, and we're going to do side two today. But we also are more organised than all be, and we've got a little episode we've already put in the can with a friend of the podcast, probably one of our inspiring guests that gave us the confidence to continue, Mr. Nick Egan, which will come out in a couple of weeks' time, and he's got a doco out B that definitely has some INXS links to it. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with our listeners.
Yes, we did. We had a lovely little chat with him yesterday, and I spoke to Dr. Jim yesterday, and he's taken on the footage, and he's going to make it some little videos going out to whet your appetite.
Fantastic. Now, very importantly, what's happening in INXS week? Nothing goes unnoticed in your sort of neck of the woods. Anything hit your desk, anything you can share?
I think you might have noticed, Hayden, that me and Danielle for 24 hours gun-hoed for Wembley. Every hour we posted each song. We did a little bit of a prep to begin with of Michael having his haircut and all sorts of things. It was really good, and we got lots of praise for that. It was absolutely exhausting, I must admit, me and Danielle.
As we record today, we're probably coming off sort of last week, which is June 13th, which was sort of a significant INXS day for a lot of reasons and things. Yeah, I guess Wembley...
it's amazing.
It doesn't feel that long ago since we did the 30th anniversary. We had that on our show, so the world turns quickly.
It does. No, it was a great day. It was good to interact with everybody. And I know you're probably already going to mention it in the news, but Don't Change turned 41. And Danielle said, look at this. On the day... talk about signs, a car advert in America using Don't Change.
Right, yes, insurance company probably, yeah. And also, I think this particular week, that song has the expression it's been submitted, and probably for what they call for perpetuity, for ongoing purposes. It's actually made its way into the National Sound and Film Archive as a submission. So it's sort of like anything that represents an iconic piece of art or literature or music or some sort of cultural significance makes its way into the Australian Sound and Film Archive, and that song has made itself in there, which is Don't Change, which always again reminds me and listeners that it doesn't really matter what chart positions a song makes. It really is about the long-standingness of a song, and the same is with movies as well. There are a lot of great movies out there that weren't box office hits at the time, but they've endured over time, legacy-wise. They've cut through generations and still create a footprint in our consciousness, and I think Don't Change is obviously one of those songs that not only does it have a happy birthday, it's still omnipresent everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah, I think someone wrote on one of our platforms that that's her funeral song.
Right,
I think it's going to be our last song that we ever play out, and it will be the day that we cry, won't it?
Oh, yeah. We play the start of the show and the end of the show. There you go.
Well, we will.
Anything else hit your desk this week?
My desk? Oh, well, the Kirk Pengilly wine got sold a couple of days ago to a really lovely guy called Nathan. I've just got that in the post to him. Yep. He loves our show and is a listener also, so that's really cool. And he said,
congratulations and thank you for your contribution.
Yeah, thank you so much. Great support. What a lovely man. And so many lovely guys and women out there that love INXS. You're all fantastic rock stars.
I won't say there's a massive, a lot of INXS news going around, but I know Andrew, which I'll share in a new section coming up, on Media Street B, he's out everywhere talking a lot about his recordings and things, and I'm looking forward to sharing some of those interviews in our news section as well. Other than that, we shall move to our patron list, and I believe we might even have a new patron this week, B, who's jumped on board.
I believe we've got three
patrons.
Yeah. Fantastic. What day are we on? We're on Thursday today, everybody. Recording.
Fantastic.
And we've already got three. And also, a few patrons realised that they hadn't been paying for a while, so they started paying. So, thank you.
Right, okay. Fair enough. All right, B, over to you to welcome the newbies and also the time-honoured patrons who make this show possible.
I'd like to say hello to everybody outside on the highway. Let's all say hello to everybody outside. It's about 10,000 people at least. hello.
Well, hello to our honorary members: Tim Farris, Nick Eakin, Mark Opitz, Richard Simpkin, Cameron Adams, Mary Woods, Darren Jones, Paul Jolie, Carmen, Carrie-Anne, Danielle, Sarah Markram, Dr. Jim, Katie, Lisa Mack, Anne-Marie, Susan P, Pedro, Mandy, David, Amanda V, Ella, Ryder, Tony, Erica, Abigail, Stefan, Jim, John A. Vink, Jackie, Sheila, Helen, Brett, Suzanne, Glenn, Laurel, Bard, Genevieve, Paul, Laurie, Manny, Jill, Heidi, Paula, Lisa, Michael, Juliet, Scott, Anthea, Tracy, Jamie, Andrew, Georgie, Stephen, Mark, Vernon, Nancy, Mandy, Nick, Sula, Amy, Paul P, Paul B, Kathy, Alicia, Jay, Amberette, John, Diana, Chantel, Neil, Mary Ellen, Giuliano, Darren, Mark, and our new members are Amber and Minnie. Welcome to the podcast, everybody.
Yeah, right. Well, we're going to be going through in our topic today part 2 of the side 2 of Switch. It's been good fun actually going back and reminiscing about the album, B, and it's always great to do album reviews, and it's with sadness, it's our 11th and our last sort of studio album review. Still lots of best ofs and greatest hits and other compilations that we haven't spoken about yet that are still part of the catalogue that we will share in upcoming episodes. Looking forward to having that topic a bit later.
Yeah, the original Sin one next. EP.
Yep, absolutely.
Oh, I love that album. It's time for the news.
All right, well, Andrew Charles Farris has been on Media Street this week, B. I just, before coming on today, listened to one of his interviews that he did at a morning show in America called, I think it's called the INXS radio show with Barnes and Leslie. When I first saw those names, like Barnes, Jimmy Barnes and Leslie, Dave Leslie from the Baby Animals, but it's a guy called Barnes and a lady called Leslie. And they're part of a US radio show called 99X, and they do a great little 12-13-minute deep dive. I think they play a couple of INXS songs like Beautiful Girl, but Andrew recounts his story about seeing the Beatles when he was younger and just some other songwriting things that, are of interest to our listeners. Also, too, Andrew's been on Radio Canberra this week, or ABC Canberra this week, and I think he's touring there soon. So there's a good 8-10-minute interview there on sort of ABC Radio Canberra available for listeners. Also, too, occasionally you see publications get sort of revitalised. There was an article on REM this week at The Guardian, and it was just going back reciting Michael Stipe, acknowledging the song Strange Currencies, and a link to Michael and how Michael's an inspiration for him and Bono. I always think that's one of the more spine-tingling things, because nothing like getting acknowledgement from your peers and your contemporaries, but that's a good article, and there are other audios of that you can always go back and find. But there's a new book coming out in Australia the next couple of weeks, and it's called Aussie Rock Anthems Top 40.
Oh, that. Where did you see it? To you too?
No, I just threw a little digging and research, came across my desk, but they're talking probably about, the anthemic songs behind, INXS and Cold Chisel, the Divinals and things, and like everything, it's a bit of a soundtrack to a period of time, so I will be front of queue getting a copy of that.
One for the shelf? Another one to go on the shelf.
One on the shelf, absolutely. I just realised, though, as we did speak to Nick Egan here, saying we talked about the book, I don't even have the Calling All Nations book yet. So
Did you not go and buy one?
No, I never got one. I think I spent half the time talking about it, but never got one myself. So
I was lucky. My dad got me mine.
Oh, that's very nice. Now, we spoke about Wembley turning 33, so we won't go over that too much, but obviously that's a timely anecdote of time and history to share. I do like a little bit of funny news occasionally, B, and there are a couple of little bits of funny news. There is a great first reaction video on the song Good Times. You can find it on YouTube. But the funniest thing, and you may know this from prior calls, B, but there has been a bit of a link between INXS and horse racing. Do you remember a couple of my anecdotes in the past?
Oh, yeah, yeah, go on.
Right, so let me read this one out, okay? There's an article that came out in one of the publications last week in Australia. Now, this is called Harness Link, right? So this is harness racing, where, for those who don't know, you have the little sort of wheelie thing behind the horse.
Yeah.
Paces. Right, well, check this out for an article. I'll read it from the top. A promising 3-year-old pacer nicknamed Hutchie for the late frontman of Aussie rock group INXS has claimed the biggest harness racing win in the opening features of the star-studded Queensland Constellation Carnival at Brisbane Albion Park tonight, July 13th.
Oh, no!
July 13.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Oh, that's gold.
Yes, it says former Kiwi INXS, in brackets, Better's Delight, finished too strongly in the Burwood Stud South East Derby for Queensland trainer Daryl Graham and young gun reinsman Angus Gerard. So they've said former Kiwi INXS had drawn the prime barrier 1 and showed blistering speed from the gate to hold the front in the early burn. But Gerard admitted he was somewhat surprised to be challenged after 400 metres by the race favourite, who got a nice run through the second row. Goes on to just talk a little about the race. The 21-year-old jockey was upbeat about INXS's prospects in the big one, the Queensland Derby, in 2 weeks' time on July 27. So we might have to put a Patreon bet on.
Please, I'd like to do that.
I'm slightly confused. We've got INXS, the horse.
Yeah.
We've got a promising 3-year-old pacer nicknamed Hutchie. Maybe there's 2 of them.
2 of them.
But, I had to laugh because it's also just this July 13th, which is a bit spooky, because July 13th.
I'm going to have to look more into these little horses. So one's called Hutchie, you reckon?
Yeah,
and
the other one's called INXS.
And there's Kiwi.
They've spelt it IN-XS, as in to avoid legal problems, I assume. Yes, I thought that was quite timely, relevant, and from a date point of view, ties into quite a famous date. Because for those who don't know, July 13th not only was obviously Wembley for INXS, but it was also the day of Live Aid, and that was some 6 years earlier, where Live Aid, across the UK and through obviously America, was performed around the world, which Bob Geldof spearheaded, and INXS did a feed from Australia to represent the Australian contribution. INXS also went into the studio the day after July 13th and did Shining Star as a recording, and as you just said, it's sort of popped up in other incarnations over time. So, other than that, a little punchy news section this week, but I thought I'd finish with a little bit of harness racing there at Albion Park.
I love it.
Maybe there's a gig in horse announcing or racing commentating for me after all
that. Actually.
Well, there you go on the outside. We've got INXS 3 wide. All right. No problems. What's the time for, B?
Hey, this is Tim Farris. Big shout out to Hayden and B. Also want to say hello to all the listeners and INXS fans. Thanks for listening. I love you, Hayden and B. You're doing a great job. Keep it up.
Thanks, Tim. It's time to subscribe. Just follow the link in our description and you can become a patron and listen to Topic of the Week.